Live from Kansas City, it's Comic Book Late Night with Captain Logan. Featuring thoughts on comic news, obscure character of the week, and a little something from the comic vault. Tonight, Captain Logan welcomes the great Luke Ski. And now, here's your host, Captain Logan!
So, those of you who are watching this on YouTube right now, I already did my whole opening bit. I already did all of that. I'm not even making that up. I totally just did all of that. And you've seen the intro, but then after that, you missed out on stuff because I forgot to hit the record button. So anyway, but hopefully I will not forget that next time. Anyway, once again, let me just say that Tim Lyons is here with us.
Hello.
And
I said the exact same thing.
Yeah, he did. He said the same thing. Anyway, Tim Lyons is our announcer for the show, and he's going to be with me helping out on the show tonight. And my guest, once again, is the great Luke Ski. He's a film artist and the current one of the big Dr. Demento guys right now. We're going to talk to him for a full half hour a little bit later. Right now, I'm going to play the random video of the week. This is a video that was put out this week by It's Some Random Guy, one of my favorite YouTube channels. He does the Marvel vs. DC videos, and there's been this thing going around. I don't know if you've seen this, Tim. There's been this thing going around lately, SHIT that such and such says. It's been this really popular thing that various channels have been doing.
Yes, I've seen that.
He did one for Superman.
That's amazing.
And so I'm going to show it right now. I think it's quite funny. Anyway, here it is.
I stand for truth, justice, and the American way. I stand for truth, justice, and all that stuff. I stand for truth, justice, and you know what? I'm just gonna renounce my American citizenship. Great Scott! Great Krypton! Great galaxies! Gee whiz, golly, jeepers! That'd be swell. You're welcome, Lois. You're welcome, Jimmy. You're welcome, Mr. White. Sorry, Lois. Sorry, Jimmy. Sorry, Mr. White. Luther! I've got to stop Luther! You're finished, Luther. Luther will be back. Luther's back! Luther's good. Don't trust Luther. I told you not to trust him. Oh, kryptonite! The kryptonite's killing me. Phew, that was close. Hey there, friend. Oh, it's you. I'm the last Kryptonian. Hello, General Zod, Ursa, Non. Hi, Supergirl. Hi, Crypto. Hi, Kandor. How do I tell Lois I love her? I love you, Lois. Marry me, Lois. I'm Superman, Lois. Goodbye, Lois. I'm back, Lois. I do, Lois. How do I tell Lois I love her?
Tim, it's time, once again, for Know Your Batmobiles.
Is that right?
It is. Are you ready?
I'm completely ready.
Are you excited?
I'm definitely excited. Batman's one of the characters I know.
Here's the Batmobile. Do you think this was from 1998, 2005, or 2011? And I'll be back at the end of the show to let you know what the year was from that Batmobile and what the heck that Batmobile was from, Tim. And now it's time for a trivia question. And today's trivia question is, of course, in honor of our guest tonight, Luke Ski. And here it is. Weird Al Yankovic has referenced a lot of geeky things in his songs, but rarely comic books. Which of his songs includes a mention of the X-Men? Now, folks watching this live, please right now write your answers, and Tim is going to figure out who is the first person to get it right. He's going to write that person's name down, and then at the end, I'm going to reveal the first person who got the trivia question correct. That's, of course, for the folks on YouTube, so they can play at home and don't hear the answer right away. So that's the question. Did somebody get it right? Mm-hmm. Awesome. I figured that was an easy one. All right.
The only
awesome.
person that took a stab at it.
Ooh, okay, all right, cool. And
not that it's obvious, Captain Logan.
Well, I think it's pretty, if you know Weird Al Yankovic, yeah. Anyway, okay, so now how about some fan art? Here is a cool drawing from '92 Kickstart. And this is a neat picture of Daredevil looking over a city, probably New York. What do you think, Tim?
Most likely.
And a lot of detail, really great picture. If you have some fan art you'd like to show off, or an idea for the show, or anything like that you'd like to send to me, be sure to personal message me on Geekvolution, and I would love to hear from you. Now it's time once again for the news. Okay, here is the first item of news up. So there's a cool article over at comicbook.com about what the New 52 got wrong. Then not enough change, which sound like two contradictory statements, but they're really not. If you look at what's been going on with the 52, they feel like they got to throw in random stuff, especially weird costume changes for no good reason. I mean, if they were all really awesome new costumes, okay, sure, but there are a couple that are just okay. Some people like Red Robin with feathers. I'm not one of them. I'm just saying. But then not enough change. We're like, look, if you're gonna really reboot it, you ought to reboot it, and because it feels like we're getting closer and closer to regular continuity.
Now, the red with feathers
on his wings. Yeah.
Now, those of us that grew up in our generation saw the great movie Jurassic Park and loved velociraptors. Velociraptors are the coolest dinosaur in the world. Now,
it turns out they've got feathers.
I went to a dinosaur exhibit, and they said that they have feathers. It ruined my entire childhood.
They're not scary with feathers.
No, they're not.
Not that Red Robin is supposed to be scary, mind you, because
is Robin ever supposed to be scary?
Oh, not really. Although I mean, I guess Jason Todd was a little scary, but not because of his costume.
Right.
And then number 4 is one that I agree with that not everybody's going to, which is that Catwoman shouldn't be a mature reader's title. Now I get that some people really like that title, but I kind of agree with him just from a marketing standpoint. Where Catwoman's a character everybody knows, and maybe there's kids that want to read Catwoman, so maybe we shouldn't have had that massive sex scene right at the end of the first issue in that hotel. Maybe that shouldn't have happened. And then he says the same thing about Red Hood and the Outlaws. So I don't know. I get that. I also understand the people on the other side. And then the 5th one I really agree with, which is digital pricing. The fact that digital books are the same price right now when they first come out as regular books, and you have to pay the same to download a book that you would to actually own the book. So anyway, it's a good article. Go check that out if you get the chance. Next item up that everybody's been asking me to talk about is the Watchmen prequels. Yes, indeed. There is the cover of the Ozymandias mini that they're doing. They are doing, and by the way, I really like the cover. If nothing else, I do really like the cover. Although I gotta say, I do hate DC Comics' new logo. With the D flipped down from the C. I don't understand what that's supposed to be. Like if you don't know that's DC, you're probably gonna have no idea what that even is. There's this assumption these days that everyone knows what everything is already, and guess what? There are kids, and they don't necessarily know what that is. Well, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But anyway, so going back to Watchmen. Here are the teams for the minis. So the Rorschach comic is going to be done by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. And I don't want to say I'm excited about these because I personally don't need them. I'm not sure they should be happening. I kind of get both sides of the thing, where it's like, well, that's a book that shouldn't have been touched. It's a self-contained thing. We shouldn't be adding things to it, especially since the original creators are not adding anything to it. On the other hand, you can look at it from the point of view of these are major creators paying tribute to one of the greatest graphic novels ever written. And in that sense, I'm really interested to see what they do with it. So I'm not saying I'm going to buy all of them, but I got to tell you, I'm going to look at the Rorschach one because Lee Bermejo is one of my favorite artists, and to get to see him draw Rorschach, that's pretty cool. The Comedian is going to be done by Azzarello again and J.G. Jones. Minutemen, Darwin Cook all by himself. Then Silk Spectre, Cook again with Amanda Connor, and Night Owl is going to be J. Michael Straczynski, which I'm kind of also sort of interested in because JMS does good work most of the time, and Andy Kubert doing the drawing there. Dr. Manhattan, JMS and J.G. Jones, and Ozymandias, Len Wein and Jai Lee. Now, Len Wein, of course, was the editor at DC Comics at the time of Watchmen. He edited Watchmen, and so now he's going to be writing something for Watchmen, which is interesting. I don't know how good it's going to be, but again, it's very interesting. So now we're going to do a poll, and in fact, I'm sorry. Before we do the poll, let me also mention. I want to read a quote from Dave Gibbons, who drew the original Watchmen, because Gibbons was asked to do something for the book, but then he decided he didn't want to, and but he also says that he is kind of for it. He's okay with it, and here's what he says: the original series of Watchmen is the complete story that Alan Moore and I wanted to tell. However, I appreciate DC's reasons for this initiative and the wish of the artists and writers involved to pay tribute to our work. Again, he's seeing it as a tribute thing. May these new additions have the success they desire. So I think that's very interesting. So now for the poll, not are you gonna or are you for the book, but will you buy the book? That's the question. And in any of them, not like are you gonna buy the whole thing? Just say yes or no. Please don't elaborate because we just want to get a sense of we just want to get numbers. We just want to get a sense of are some people gonna buy this book? So go ahead and write that down right now. Tim Lyons is gonna write down all the stuff for the poll, and then I'm going to continue on with the news, and at the end of the news, we'll tell you how the poll went. So here is the next item up for business. USA Today named Miles Morales the best new comic book character of 2011. Miles Morales, of course, is the new Ultimate Spider-Man. And there he is. I agree with this. I think Bendis is doing a great job with Miles Morales. The only question I have is, what contention did he have? Name another new character that came out last year in comic books besides Miles Morales. Like, name another major new character. I can't think of any major ones. So he didn't really have. It's kind of like when Lex Luthor ran for president. I don't really think he had a lot of contention either. So so he won. The next item up for business is I almost said up for bid. So the next thing we're going to be auctioning off is the new Judge Dredd movie. And Judge Dredd, so there's a new movie coming out called Dredd. And it's, of course, not a remake of the original movie, but, of course, just a new movie based on that, on the comic book. And it's going to be starring Carl Urban, who played Dr. McCoy in the new Star Trek movie. And I think that we don't have to worry about Carl Urban getting typecast, right? I mean, those are very different characters.
Well, he also played the iconic Doom guy in the Doom movie.
Oh, was that Carl Urban?
He was John Grimm.
Maybe that's why he got this part.
It could very well be. He was alongside The Rock, and he actually, out-manlied The Rock.
Wow.
So
see, I didn't realize he could do the whole manly thing. I mean, like, I wonder if he had to bulk down for Star Trek, and maybe he bulks up for these other movies.
It could be. He kind of looked like a raving alcoholic in the Star Trek movie.
Well, yes, because he was supposed to look like that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, I'm just saying he did a very good job.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Fitting his body to that. Not quite as good as say Christian Bale does. You look at The Machinist.
Oh, The Machinist.
Yeah, and then you look at.
I'm surprised that movie didn't kill him.
Like
I'm surprised he made it through that. Yeah. Ooh, The Machinist. If you haven't seen The Machinist, it's an interesting movie. Do give that a shot. But anyway, the producers of that movie swear that Carl Urban will at no point take his helmet off, nor will he kiss his co-star. And it opens on September 21st. So I'm excited about that. I didn't even find out about this movie until a couple months ago, and I'm like, oh, really? Dredd? Okay. Sure. Yeah. More power to you. That's kind of exciting.
I heard about it like 6 months ago, something like
that.
Did you? That's when the first images of Carl Urban as Judge Dredd came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed it. Whatever. I guess. Usually I'm the guy that knows this stuff, and I somehow totally, well, there goes everything. So the next item is that Neil Gaiman and Todd McFarlane finally settled their decade-plus long dispute over the Angela and Medieval Spawn characters, which kept Image from reprinting Spawn #9 for a long time. And I'm glad this finally happened, because I wouldn't have wanted these guys to be in their 90s still in court over this. Could you imagine that? Like, another, 30, 40 years down the line, these guys are like, yeah, we're still fighting over Medieval Spawn and Angela. Nobody knows who those people are, but we're still fighting over them. So anyway, I guess that's good news. Apparently they got kind of a 50-50 split, and I'm not sure exactly why they finally were able to do it now, but not before, but so that's finally happened. And hey, guess what? Matthew Vaughn is coming back to direct an X-Men First Class sequel. Yes, I'm extremely excited about this. And the whole cast is signed back on. I'm really glad that the franchise is going the direction of X-Men First Class now, and they're not doing X4, or at least they're not doing X4 right now, and hopefully they do First Class long enough that those actors get so old they won't want to do X4. That's kind of what I'm hoping happens. I thought X-Men First Class was a brilliant film. Really excited this is happening. I knew there was going to be a sequel, but I didn't know if Vaughn was going to get to direct it, and I think, this may just be a rumor, but I think Bryan Singer is also going to help write this one again. I hope that happens, because I think he did have a big hand into why that last one was so awesome. So anyway, I know not everybody loves it, but I do. And guess what? On the Geeks Not Nerds Awards, it won Best Picture. So there. And I didn't vote, so yeah. Hey, guess what? Adam Beechen, who writes Batman Beyond, is doing YouTube commentaries now. This is a new thing, doing YouTube commentaries for comic books. I think that's kind of a cool idea. Yeah. Doing kind of the DVD feature thing for free on the internet, and he's kind of pioneering it. I think some other people have been doing it a little bit, but he's one of the first. And he's already got one up at his channel, Wayne Incorporated. Of course, the new Batman Beyond series, Batman Beyond Unlimited, is not out yet, but his number is on his YouTube channel, just talking about what this whole thing is gonna be. And anyway, I wanted to thank Movie Geek 17 for sending that my way. So go check that out. Here's an image, if I've got it here. Yeah, here is an image of the cover, I think, of Unlimited #1, and like I said, Wayne Incorporated is his channel. And the other great, super exciting news about Adam Beachin is that Adam Beachin is actually going to appear on Comic Book Late Night. In 2 episodes, he's going to be on the program, and that's so exciting. I'm actually going to get to talk to him, so he's going to be here. And now, it's time for a brand new segment. You're not going to believe this. It's such an amazing new segment that nobody would ever think of in a live show called Ask Captain Logan. So I want folks to now ask me things, anything about comic book movies or comic books or any of the news we just talked about, anything like that. Tim Lyons is going to field those questions for me, and I'm going to talk to you now for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Again, Comic Book Late Night is going to be a longer show now because we're doing it live, so it's going to be about an hour, sometimes maybe a little bit more like an hour and a half. Don't feel like you have to stay for the whole thing. That's why I'm doing Ask Captain Logan a little bit earlier on the program. And so yeah, Tim Lyons is going to field some questions for me. I'm going to answer 3 or 4 here in the next 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're going to run right on. Tim, you got anything for me?
So far, the only thing, Captain Logan, is did you see Chronicle?
No, I didn't see Chronicle. I saw them talking about that at the beginning. I didn't. And that has nothing to do with comic books, I don't think.
Hey, I'm just saying, that's the only question we've gotten so far.
Really? Nothing? All right. Well, I guess we'll just...
Okay, here we go. Movie Geek 17 wants to know, what do you want to see?
Movie Geek 17, again. Thank you once again.
In First Class 2.
In First Class 2. I might be in the minority. I want to see Mr. Sinister. That's what I'd like to see. I think that would be super... I'd love to see a live-action version of Mr. Sinister. Yeah, that's the villain I'd like to see for First Class 2, anyway. I hope it's not called First Class 2.
God,
I don't think
that
they'll
would
call
be a
it
little
that.
bit off-putting. Kind of like
X-Men,
Rambo First Blood Part 2.
X-Men First Class Still. X-Men Second Class Citizens. I don't know.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, no, it's dumb. Yeah, it sounds horrible. Anyway, got another one?
Comics Kid 2099 wants to know,
Kid.
If Hugh Jackman stops playing Wolverine eventually, who would you want to see replace him?
Ooh, see, I'm no good at this stuff. I'm no good at the actor kind of, who would you cast? Who would you recast? Carl Urban? No,
I couldn't see Carl Urban in that role. I couldn't either.
Honest. I couldn't either.
You know, the little...
I think you have to be either Australian or Canadian. I think
I was going to say, because Hugh Jackman's just a little Australian ball of muscles.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
That's what makes it. And he's very big in the musical, the actual Broadway musical.
He's great.
Scene, and he's really very good.
He's a brilliant singer.
Yeah, he's very good.
Only thing I ever saw him in I didn't like was Helsing.
Yeah, no, but
not Helsing, Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Could you imagine him as Helsing?
Honestly,
in Helsing.
but Van Helsing was not Hugh Jackman's fault.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Was not Hugh Jackman's fault.
No, sure, absolutely not. Any more questions?
Excelsior Production 7 wants to know, do you think an R-rated Deadpool movie would work?
I think a Deadpool movie would be better if it was R-rated. If they wanted to do Deadpool the way he currently is written in comics, and not try to make it too kid-friendly. I think even a PG-13 movie, I don't think it would be as bad as what happened with Spawn. I think you could still do a PG-13 Deadpool movie. I just think that, look, the point of Deadpool is you can't kill him, and there's a lot of hack-and-slash stuff going on in Deadpool, so I do think it would make a little bit more sense as a rated R.
It's going to have to be like a hard R, I would think. Just because
maybe not a hard R?
Well,
I don't think it's like Spawn or like...
But I'm just talking as far as violence is concerned, just because of all the methods by which somebody would try to kill him.
Yeah, sure. It's not like Preacher. You'd have to do that R, but then, so...
Yeah. Spacman619 wants to know, hey, Cap, what do you think about Kevin Smith's new show, Comic Book Men?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
I hadn't heard about it. I like to keep up on Kevin Smith stuff.
I heard it existed. That's all I know about it. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it yet. I don't watch a lot of current TV these days, and I've just been keeping up with comics so much and stuff. So I just haven't had a chance to look at it. So I will look at it and get back with you. If I have a chance to watch it, I'll do a feature on it.
DVID22 wants to know, Captain Logan.
Yes.
Is it time for a new Spawn movie?
Well, I don't have a segment built in for it. Now it's time for the new Spawn. But I do. Yes, I think it was time for a new Spawn movie the year after the first Spawn movie, but a reboot immediately afterwards. No, I'm kidding.
So pull like a Spider-Man. you have the last Spider-Man movie, and then just a couple years down the road,
except
start
actually,
rebooting these Spider-Man
it's not
series.
the new. It's not. It wasn't Spider-Man 3 that killed the franchise. It was the pitch for Spider-Man 4. When they said they were going to make Felicia Hardy instead of the Black Cat, the Vultress. Anyway, yes, I do, and I think Todd McFarlane also thinks it's time for a new Spawn movie. He's been saying a lot in his letters pages in Spawn lately that he's really wanting that to get off the ground soon. He's also been saying that for a decade, so take that for what it's worth. I do. I want to see a real good R Spawn movie, and I got to tell you, I don't care if it performs. Because if they make, I'd like it to perform. I'm just saying that, I don't want it to be too commercial, So, they need to make a good horror movie, Spawn. Yeah.
The Red Robin 696 wants to know, what type of universe do you want to see after they reboot Batman after The Dark Knight Returns?
I want to
Dark
see
Knight Rises. Sorry,
I
got it confused with the actual one. You see what I did with that?
Yeah, I saw what you did there. Yeah.
That's terrible.
So according to you, he's making the assumption that they're going to do a standalone film that's Dark Knight Returns.
No, I don't.
Then,
I just misspoke.
No,
but that's okay.
By the way, I forgot to mention earlier. This has nothing to do with anything, but the Watchmen prequel is called Before Watchmen. I hate that. I think that sounds terrible. Anyway, what should they do with Batman after Dark Knight? I think they need to do something a little bit more fantastic, something a little more unbelievable, something a little closer to either Batman the Animated Series or darken it up more than that and do something closer to Arkham City. I know a lot of people are saying that, and I agree with that. I think that's what they should do. The people who think that there should be a Batman Beyond movie, I don't agree with that. I don't think Batman Beyond would work very well in live action. Lynch me if you want to. Luckily, I'm here and you're wherever you are, and that's hard, so I'm okay. I think physically I'm okay.
But they can't punch you through the internet.
And look, I love Batman Beyond. I'm getting Adam Beechen because I love Batman Beyond, but I'm not interested in a live action Batman Beyond movie. So something closer to Arkham Asylum. And hey, let's have a movie instead of focus kind of hard on one villain, but have a couple extras in the background, kind of like Nolan did, but a little bit more, a little bit more out there.
Okay, Movie Geek 17.
One more, last one.
Movie Geek 17. Oh,
yes,
no,
sir.
Ustream kind of messed me up on this one. Okay, here we go. Do you think a Black Widow film... Hang on a second. Do you think a Black Widow film... Scrolling.
Let me see if I can get it on mine.
Scrolling. Movie Geek 17, bear with me. I'm trying to get to your question. Okay.
I don't even see it. Do you think a Black Widow film could be successful now that the character will be appearing in Avengers? I think it has a likelihood of actually succeeding now because she's in Avengers. I don't think you could have made a Black Widow film before. Well, you could have, but I don't think you would have wanted to play up, hey, this is a comic book movie, because then there's a lot of people who don't know who that is. I think it's going to completely depend on whether or not we like her in Avengers. I think that if she's played up enough, if she's given anything like an arc in Avengers, because I think it would be very easy for her to just be a background character, kind of like she was in Iron Man 2. I think that if she gets a cool role in Avengers, then yes, that could work.
Yeah,
I think that's what it would take.
Yeah, but unfortunately, with that sort of character, I think that she has to be part of kind of an ensemble like the Avengers before she's going to be able to stand on her own.
You think she needs to be in another ensemble?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
I
think I agree with you as far as the Avengers being very good for that character, because that's a good introduction to it outside of Iron Man 2, because you got to understand there's going to be an entire audience that may not have seen Iron Man 2 but wants to see the Avengers because they were a fan of a different
That's true, although I would make the case that more people will have seen Iron Man than will have seen any of the other Marvel films leading up to Avengers,
no, absolutely.
because it was so successful.
But Hollywood, they want to get that very last segment of the population that's outside of that Venn diagram.
I agree with you.
It is what it is.
Well, hey, thanks a lot for asking me questions. That's it for Ask Captain Logan. We'll do a little bit more audience participation stuff a little bit later. Right now, before we go to the Luke Ski interview, I'd like to play you one of Luke Ski's songs, so you know a little bit more about him. I did a song on Comic Late Night. Well, I didn't do a song myself. I've done songs. They weren't good, but I did them. No, I did play one of his songs before, but tonight I'm going to show you House Party at Arkham Asylum, and I think this is very funny. This is a rap that he did, and he does a lot of raps. That's one of the things that he really likes to do. And this is not just to this is not a video he put together. The music is his. Somebody else did this kind of fan video thing with it, and I'm just going to show that so that you have something to look at on the screen while it's playing. So anyway, without further ado, here is House Party at Arkham Asylum, and then we'll go straight into the interview. Here it is, maybe.
Look alive, wage slaves! Presenting that caliph of clowns, that mogul of mountebanks, the one and only Joker!
House party at Arkham Asylum. I'm the Joker, the man, your host. Shake my hand, my fine cousin, you'll feel the joy buzz and it'll fry you up like French toast. House party at Arkham Asylum. Harley Quinn is your hostess today. Take the coat and the hat and give them a straight jacket. Sure thing, Mr. J. So join us at the house party at Arkham Asylum, where there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. Cause we're disoriented as well as demented, yeah, we've all gone a little bit nuts. House party at Arkham Asylum. Just forget all your toil and strife. Cause we run this asylum, so we'll be buck wild for the next 20 years to life. House party at Arkham Asylum. On the dance floor, the penguin is kicking. He did the servant birds, but around his head wood and then segue to the funky chicken. House party at Arkham Asylum. Just watch Catwoman dance to the beat. Cause someone sits Selena, funky cold Medea, now she's writhing around in heat. House party at Arkham Asylum. And our DJ is driving us crazy. Because this Mr. Freeze, we keep asking him, please, will you stop playing Ice Ice Baby? House party at Arkham Asylum. So riddle me this, my fine guest. What you call it, this jockey who surmises quite shocking? I know, it's DJ Jesse Dead. House party at Arkham Asylum, where there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. Cause we're disoriented as well as demented, we've all gone a little bit nuts. House party at Arkham Asylum. Just forget all your troubles and strife. Cause we run this asylum, so we'll be buck wild for the next 20 years to life. House party at Arkham Asylum. Bring on Batman and all of his crew. Robin, Batgirl, and Nightwing will feel the greasy lightning when they get some shark treatment too. House party at Arkham Asylum. The Mad Hatter song's every complainer. Scarface wants karaoke, Clayface wants hokey pokey, Scarecrow wants the Macarena. House party at Arkham Asylum. On the mic, hear the maniacs rock. Just watch Ray Shal Ghul go and kick it old school with his new rapping partner, Kid Croc. House party at Arkham Asylum. Bing just asked Poison Ivy to dance. She said, not a chance, fatty, because she knows that he just wants to get into a plan. House party at Arkham Asylum, where there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. Cause we're disoriented as well as demented, yeah, we've all gone a little bit nuts. House party at Arkham Asylum. Just forget all your toil and strife. Cause we run this asylum, so we'll be buck wild for the next 20 years to life. House party at Arkham Asylum. We've thrown out every film script. Keaton, Kilmer, and Clooney facing off with this loony, they'd all end up in a bat crypt. House party at Arkham Asylum. Tim Burton is here, we're excited. Though it may seem two-faced for reasons of good taste, Joel Schumacher wasn't invited. House party at Arkham Asylum. Those Justice League dorks aren't so vicious. Wonder Woman and Flash and Green Lantern got bashed and the Aquaman sleeps with the fishes. House party at Arkham Asylum. Not even Superman could win tonight. Because we rocked his bottom with a 12-inch cut called Disco Kryptonite. Where there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. Cause we're disoriented as well as demented, yet we've all gone a little bit nuts. House party at Arkham Asylum. Just forget all your toil and strife. Cause we run this asylum, so we'll be buck wildin' for the next 20 years to life. House party at Arkham Asylum. Let's adjourn to our maximum security boudoir and bring the whoopee cushion so we can make a little whoopee.
You want to go for a ride on your Harley?
Yes, my dear. Let's go hog wild.
This is Captain Logan, and I'm here with the great Luke Ski.
Hey, how's it going?
Luke Ski, as I've mentioned on the program before. Luke, I've actually shown some of your stuff before on the show, planning to have you on, and then it never happened. But now we're back, so we're going to do it.
Well, excellent.
And I showed, what was it, the Marvel Poppins video.
Yes.
And people really dug that. So now they're going to get to see your Arkham Asylum rap. And anyway.
It should be pointed out that the song House Party at Arkham Asylum was actually originally written and recorded and released back in about 2003. So, and it was primarily based on, the Batman the Animated Series, stuff. That's where I kind of got my main inspiration from. So the fact that there is currently a franchise of video games, Batman Arkham Asylum, it's cool that those games are out there and that, people are playing them and they're awesome. That just, I just wanted to make sure people understood that I was writing the song based on the old cartoon, not on the current video game, in case they're wondering why I wasn't mentioning things that aren't in the current game. It's because the song is, almost a decade old.
Yeah, and it's funny, I knew that. I can't believe I slipped up and said Arkham City. I've been playing that, so it was on my brain.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, so yeah.
Luke, before we get into the Comic Grill, let me ask you real quick if you can just give us a little bit of background on how you got involved with Dr. Demento.
Well, I have been a comedy nerd since the day I was born. I was always listening to, in the very young days, listening to not only things like, the Muppet Show soundtrack albums, but also my parents would let me listen to, Steve Martin albums and stuff on LP. And as I grew up, I just started, buying cassettes and CDs, of course, Weird Al Yankovic, and then, the compilations of Dr. Demento. It wasn't until I started, I went to college in Kansas City, and there was a radio station that was carrying his show, the syndicated version, and I was able to start listening to the show every week. And within a few months, I started sending him demo cassettes, and he was very supportive, sending me letters. This was before I had access to the internet back in around 96. And he, wrote me letters and said, I like your ideas, but, you need to get to a real studio if you want to get some serious airplay. So once I got out of college and I could afford to, I got a studio and released my first album, Fanboys in the Hood, in October of 96. And then, since then I've released about, 10 albums and a DVD. And, I've kind of grown to become one of the, big players on his show. He announced at Dragon Con 2004 that I was his most requested act of the 21st century. And as far as I can tell, I still hold that title because I've continued to have songs on his top 25 of the year every year since 2002, including 3 of them at number 1. One of which was this past year, 2011. So
and by the way, I wanted to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
Snoopy the dog. I got to hear that over at the at Conquest in Kansas City.
Cool.
and then when I got on your email list, it was like every week I was getting these emails like please request Snoopy the dog, and I was like, wow, I guess people really like that song. And then when I saw that it was that it topped that, I was like, oh, fantastic. I was really excited about that. So good job.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's most people, my fans and and supporters out there, they totally want to help me out. So basically all they need is that kind of weekly reminder to, put in a request for Dr. Demento's weekly show. So I kind of made it a point to every Monday or Tuesday send off a message. But now that it's a new year, I'm going to go back to doing my email updates about once every 2 weeks. But yeah.
And part of the reason I wanted to talk to you was just to let people know that Dr. Demento was still around, because I think that there's probably lots of folks who used to listen to Dr. Demento that have no idea that he's still, alive and well and doing a show on the internet.
Yeah, I try to spread the word on that. Every time I do a convention where I know it's kind of a new territory that I haven't been to before or in a while, I do a panel that I call Dr. Demento is Still on the Air, just so that I can, try to grab people's attention and get them to show up and say, yes, he's still around. He's doing a show every week. You can hear it at his website, drdemento.com, DRDEMENTO.com. It's basically a pay-per-streaming type of place. If you want to hear his show, it costs either $2 or $4, depending on what quality stream you want to listen to. But, each episode is, 2.5 hours long, and it's just awesome. Plus he has an archive of episodes from the past 40 years that you can listen to. So there's over 600 episodes there to listen to, including all the new ones he's been making for the past, several years. So if you whether you've never heard the show before or you're an old fan looking to find him again, I can't recommend the show enough. It's totally awesome.
Luke, I don't know if I told you this when I met you at the convention, but a couple months before we talked, I got to interview Wally Wingert, and he's so cool, by the way, and I think it's really interesting that I keep meeting people who were involved with Dr. Demento because I grew up with Dr. Demento, and it was one of my favorite things. My stepdad had old tapes from the 80s. And Wally Wingert's stuff was on those tapes, and so it's really cool. I keep running into folks that are involved.
Yeah, it's I haven't actually personally met Wally Wingert yet, but it's like every time I'm at a con that he's at, I'm always too busy to get to his panels, and we're kind of two ships passing in the night there. So I hope I get a chance to actually get to meet him and say, hey, what's up one of these days, because he's done some great work. Coming to mind right now is the Adam West song he did, back when the first Batman movie came out. He did a parody of that.
Yeah, that's what I know.
Wild West,
That and Too Late to Get Fries.
Yes. So yeah.
Luke, are you ready to jump into the ever frightening comic book grill?
Sure, why not? Let's go for it.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Being so in tune to popular culture, and I mean, this guy writes about everything. What property would you say you're most knowledgeable about? And my money is on Star Trek.
I'd have to say are we counting the whole genre of comedy music as one of these potential things, or are you talking about something that's more of a franchise thing that you can put a name to, like Star Trek?
Good point. Yeah, no, I was thinking more fictional franchises, but...
All right, well, based on the 4-hour podcast I did on this subject back in November, I'm going to go with the Muppets.
Really? Over
Yes.
Star Trek, even?
Oh, way over Star... Listen,
wow.
Let me tell you, I didn't start watching Star Trek until I started going to college in '92, and there were Next Gen reruns. So I never...
But you've written so many parodies about Star Trek.
Well, let's... Okay, so right about that, shortly after that, Deep Space Nine started. So I watched Deep Space Nine from the beginning to the end as it aired, as the same with Voyager and Enterprise, and once I started watching syndicated Next Generation, I got caught up with that show. But I never watched the original Star Trek, like barely ever. I saw like only a handful of episodes because I wasn't interested in it. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I made an effort to, sit down, not really sit down, but download onto my, MP3 player so I could, watch them and finally get caught up and have seen, all of the original Star Trek episodes so I can finally have a context for why people thought this was, something we should keep going for 45 years. So basically, I have a really warm place in my heart for Deep Space Nine. I love Quark and the whole Ferengi family. I think that's great. But it was my love for DS9 at the time that made me do most of my Star Trek songs, because most of them seem to be, Deep Space Nine oriented for the most part,
Yeah.
But as far as like something I've been, a franchise I've been way into for, literally my entire life, Jim Henson is like my top number one personal idol. So, if you go to I do a podcast with my friend Carrie called Luke and Carrie's Bad Rapport, and check out back in November, we did a special on the Muppets to coincide with the release of the new Muppets movie. And we spent just under 4 hours with me talking about, talking technically was probably like 2.5 hours because I snuck in there a whole lot of music from the history of the Muppets, and it just kind of padded it out to about 4 hours of me talking about the entire history of Jim Henson from 1955 doing Sam and Friends on local television,
Wow.
all the way through, the new Jason Segel movie. So, I know there's more people, there are people in the world who are more knowledgeable about the Muppets than I.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Vince and I just did a half-hour podcast with another Muppet expert, and it would be really interesting to get you guys together. I've never seen so many Muppet experts come out of the woodwork before this year.
Well, if there's any Muppet experts out there listening, my overall review of the new movie is that I really liked it a lot. I saw it literally 5 times in the movie theater. My only complaint is that due to the construct of the story, they basically did not include and pretty much kind of retconned everything the Muppets did since 1984. So, like, all of the new Muppets from, like, Muppets Tonight pretty much didn't appear except for Pepe the King Prawn and Bobo the Bear in their, small appearances. So
wasn't Rizzo in, like, 5 seconds somewhere?
Yeah, Rizzo didn't get any individual lines of dialogue in the film. There's, like, 2 or maybe 3 shots where you see him, and I thought was a big slap in the face because Rizzo's been around, since the early days.
Oh, see, I didn't realize that. I thought he was a post-84 character, too.
Okay, technically Rizzo appeared on the original Muppet Show, but he wasn't really a standalone character.
Okay.
You kind of see him a little bit standing out a bit in The Great Muppet Caper at the Happiness Hotel, but he didn't really come to be, hi, my name is Rizzo the Rat, and here's who I am, until The Muppets Take Manhattan. That's when you first really see Rizzo as Rizzo. Yeah. And the way the new Muppets film seemed to be implying is that everything that, that the Muppets had this great run, through the end of the film, The Great Muppet Caper, and then everything started going downhill from there, so to speak. So things like, the Muppet television segments from the Jim Henson Hour and the entire series of Muppets Tonight, which I really loved and thought was hilarious.
I liked it too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so like all that stuff was kind of, for the purposes of this film, retconned out of existence, and that kind of, bummed me out. But, looking at all the love and care that went into paying tribute to the original Muppet Show, I can kind of forgive him for it, but still, I think Pepe and Rizzo should have had some more damn lines. So, anyway.
Question number 2. So, a lot of your parodies are raps, and I think you're quite good at them. Do you find that raps are easier to write than original or parody songs?
Well, they are easier from the standpoint of the average rap song has about 4 times as many lyrics as your average pop song. Because, pop songs people are singing, and there aren't too many words here. But rap songs are like, blah, 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 blah. There's, 4 times as many words in the same amount of time. So, from that aspect.
So you can sneak a million references in, because things to say, yeah.
So, but as far as, writing, I still want my lyrics to be, clever and funny and, cool, if at all possible. So I try to put the same amount of care into writing a regular song, versus a rap song. But with a rap song, I kind of invented my own method of writing rap parodies that I kind of felt was a really good way to go about it. So I'm very meticulous when it comes to, I try to, as much as possible, match not only the rhyme schemes of where the rhymes are laid out within the original song, but also match kind of syncopated rhythms of the way things are said, so it's, because, just taking any old beat and doing like a Dr. Seuss style delivery of, lyrics that rhyme at the end of each line, that doesn't quite work when you're dealing with an artist like Eminem, who will, rhyme the same 2-syllable phrase 14 times in 6 lines and, all over the place. And then, I got to figure out how to, mimic this and yet also be talking about the plot of Lord of the Rings at the same time. Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
Yeah, that took me about 7 hours, but it was worth it. Anyway.
This isn't a rap, but I gotta say, I think maybe my favorite line of anything I've heard of yours is in your Battlestar Bohemian Rhapsody parody.
Uh-huh.
When you said, "What the FTL?" I just love that. It's so clever. I heard you do that live and about died.
Well, it was because I was thinking more along the lines of WTF FTL, but W was just kind of too clunky to say. So yeah. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll say what the F, which will get the same point across. So, yeah.
Well, what made it work was that because you didn't use the letters, it was even harder to see it coming. It's like,
yeah.
What the, and then F the O, of course. Naturally, that's where he's going to go with that. Number 3. Are you finding it more difficult these days to write material as there are fewer sci-fi shows being produced?
That is, that's a problem when I'm trying to appeal to a fandom audience that, shows up to science fiction conventions and stuff. There are things that, while aren't necessarily science fiction, do appeal to nerds. For example, things like Monty Python, which are kind of timeless, and then there's newer TV shows like Chuck and The Big Bang Theory and stuff. But it's just a matter of trying to grab of what you see, making an impact on pop culture and doing something with it. I mean, I've done songs about shows like 24 and The Office, and
I was going to mention the 24 one. That's one of my favorites.
That was a lot of fun. Plus, that was an original.
The following takes place between track 1 and track 3.
And the cool thing about that statement is that is true on both the album that had appeared on Target Audience of mine and on the Fump compilation that came out. It was track 2 on both of those albums, just to make that work.
Yeah. Question 4. Do you have a take on DC Comics New 52, and would you consider writing a song about it?
No, and I hate to admit this because basically, there was a period in my life when I did collect comic books, but most of the comics I collected were more on the comedy side of things than on the superhero kind of side of things.
Okay.
I mean, I did pick up occasional issues of, Batman and stuff, and because I liked Harley Quinn so much, I know I got that series. But my fandom of, those characters, I was mainly focusing on watching the animated series of Batman, Superman, Justice League Unlimited, all the awesome direct-to-video movies they've been making over there.
Right.
So I, Teen Titans. I like Young Justice. So it's kind of like, I mean, I hate to seem like an ignorant media fan that doesn't read, but but one of my hugest loves in life is animation. So it's like
Sure.
So I mean, it's I didn't really physically collect a lot of the superhero comics back in the day, but I've been so basically as a person involved in fandom and especially trying to make humor based on it, I've been kind of trying to keep an eye on what my friends have been saying about it, and some things seem to be coming off very positively, some things seem to be coming off rather negatively. So I can't really give an informed take where I feel strongly about it, but I am trying to pay attention so that I at least know what the hell people are talking about. So
yeah, well, I just had to ask. I mean, it's my niche, and I was thinking, man,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you could do with that if you if you cared to get into it. It's definitely very make funnable. So that's why I thought I would mention it. Last question. I felt like I just had to ask you this. What is your definitive favorite Weird Al Yankovic song?
Well, that's kind of a tough question to ask just because, he does such great work. And Al, in a tweet recently, summed up, like, right after his album came out, he's like, he said this in 140 characters, so I'm screwing it up, but it was basically, it was like, here's every review of my new album, and then he's like, pretending to be the reviewer, Weird Al's new album is awesome, but it's not as good as, and then parentheses, whatever album came out when I was 12 years old, parentheses.
Oh, good call.
So basically, the first album I ever bought with my own money was Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid.
Sure.
Now, and I had heard in 3D before that because one of my cousins gave it to me on cassette. But there's something about the Dare to Be Stupid album that really holds a warm place in my heart because one of my favorite Weird Al originals is the song Dare to Be Stupid, and one of my favorite Weird Al parodies is Yoda. Of the polka medleys, even though it's not technically a medley, I really loved his cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, where he did the entire song as a polka. So,
yeah.
But Al's done so much wonderful stuff, and, for those of you, much like getting into Dr. Demento, if you haven't heard, the past 2 or 3 Weird Al albums, you guys got to check out the stuff he's been doing, because, it is great work. So yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the new album quite a bit, but it's so funny that he said that because I had exactly the same reaction to it. I was like, yeah, this is really good, but it's not running with scissors,
Yeah.
And I think Al really resonates for people differently depending on also what kind of music they grew up with, and what period they were listening to it. Because I mean, like you, I had heard a lot of Weird Al before, a lot of his stuff before my time, but then I think still probably my favorite, if not my favorite records, is Running with Scissors, because I was 12 when that music was out, and that was the stuff I was listening to. So that was the first polka that I knew every song.
Yeah. And and for people like me, it's like such a testament to how much older we are getting when he puts out a new album and
we don't know any of the songs.
Yeah, and between the polka medley and the songs he's parodying, it's like we have to go do research to find out, okay, what is this? Oh, okay, this is this song or whatever. So
yeah, I feel weird even saying this, but I hadn't even heard that Lady Gaga song before that album, and that was like a huge song, and I somehow missed it.
Yeah, it's like, I spend a lot of time in my other job doing caricatures, hanging out in this one video arcade at an indoor water park, and they have DJs there who play current pop songs. So most songs that people parody, I've at least heard it kind of off in the distance. It's like, oh yeah, that's that song. Who is that by? Oh yeah, okay, now I have a vague idea. So, but yeah, and I should mention, in case you hadn't heard about it. Over the past summer, a couple of friends of mine from thefump.com, Jace McClain of Nuclear Bubble Wrap and Austin Eschleman of a group called Smashy Claw, teamed up to organize a whole bunch of us from the funny music community and a couple of nerdcore guys to put out a compilation tribute album to Weird Al Yankovic called 26 and a Half.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's part of why I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah.
Because I knew you'd have to have an opinion.
My contribution to that album was a parody I wrote back during the Running with Scissors tour, a song in tribute to Weird Al's drummer, John Bermuda Schwartz, who is also his webmaster and kind of the band historian, and he's always a great fan liaison, and he's a really cool guy. So I did a song called My Baby's in Love with John Bermuda, and I wrote that back in '99 just as a goof for the woman I was involved with at the time. And when this tribute album thing came along, I thought, well, maybe I should finally record that. So I checked in with with woman in question and said, hey, is it okay if I do this? She's like, sure, go ahead. I also dropped an email to John. I'm like, John, do you care if I do this? He's like, oh, sure, fine. So I managed to get the song made, and I'm really happy with what I did, but I didn't hear any of the other tracks going into it, and then after I heard the album, I'm like, holy crap, this album is awesome. My track is the weakest track on this album, because everyone else everyone else did such an awesome, amazing job, like Insane Ian's kind of club dance version of That Boy Could Dance is amazing. Dino Mike, I believe, did a really interesting version of the song You Make Me. But there's tons of great people who appeared on the album. My friend Devo Spice wrote an original rap song called Weird Al Didn't Write This Song, basically about how so many people have these dumb misconceptions about Al, and they think that just because the song is a parody, that Weird Al did it, even though it sounds nothing like him, and the song's about, R-rated subject matter or weed smoking or whatever, so it kind of addresses all kinds of stuff like that, But
it's
yeah.
so weird. I discovered people have that with Al with parodies, and then anytime there's like a really quirky song, people say They Might Be Giants did it.
So yeah. Anyway, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
no, that's all. I'm glad you talked about that, because I still haven't heard it, and I need to.
Well, let me see if I can figure out what the website is for that real quick. I should have it memorized. Hold on a second. It's probably 26andAhalf.com. This is such interesting interviewing.
I'm just gonna go away for 25 minutes. Hi. My name is Gilbert Gottfried. Welcome to the stupidest interview ever, where I just look at the internet and you wait for me to be done.
No. I'm sorry. I wish I didn't even think about looking this kind of stuff up.
That's okay. I can edit in later in like text.
There it is. Oh yeah, duh. Okay, WeirdAlTribute.bandcamp.com. That's what it is.
Awesome. Well, I'm totally gonna go there, and everyone else should too.
Yes, WeirdAlTribute.bandcamp.com. Just to give you the rundown of the artists on this album, Steve Goody, Kobe LaCroix, Double Down, MC Lars, TV's Kyle, Logarithms, Insane Ian, Raymond and Scum, MC Frontalot, Dino Mike, Worm Quartet, Smashy Claw, MC Chris, Steve Goody, Nuclear Bubble Wrap, Devo Spice, The Great Luke Ski, Mark with a C, Shile Riley, and Double Ice Backfire, and Weird Al's band themselves, simply called Al's Band, doing a song called Al's Band about the entire history of the band. So
that's awesome that they got them to do that.
Yeah, so that's
Wow.
Jim West, Steve J, Bermuda Schwartz, and Ruben Valtierra are all doing the song.
That's worth it all by itself, man.
Yeah, so and it's only $10 freaking bucks, so
Yeah, cool.
So highly recommended. So
Luke, thanks a ton for being on the program.
Hey, is it okay if I blatantly plug a few more things here before we go?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Because that's kind of, my MO, everyone. In fact, there's a segment on my podcast, Bad Rapport, which is called, What's Luke Plugging Now? Yeah! And then I plug things. So yeah, there's my website, thegreatlukeski.com, TheGreatLukeski.com, which is, your main portal for Luke Ski information. There's also the Funny Music Project, or for short, thefump.com, TheFump.com. Every twice a week, we put up new comedy songs for people to download from one of the dozens of artists involved, one of which is myself, and many of the other artists who I just listed off being on that album. So if you go to the website once every 2 or 3 weeks, you can be continually getting new comedy songs, many of which are on geeky topics. In fact, on the main page right now, we have the band Ukla the Mock has an awesome song called Welcome to the Con, which features me, Devo Spice, and Worm Quartet doing guest vocals. A song about Mitt Romney up there right now. Hey, a song by Devo Spice, parody of Friday by Rebecca Black called Friday the 13th, about the Friday the 13th movies, featuring a female vocalist. So yeah, but there's always lots of great stuff up there. So please check that out. What else do I want to plug real quick? DementiaRadio.org is another place to hear comedy music streaming 24 hours a day. Live shows in the evening with people taking requests. On Thursday nights, I hop on the show, and me and Devo Spice record the Funny Music Podcast with people from the Fump. So check out DementiaRadio.org. I have a sketch comedy group called Cirque du So What, the other members of which are Devo Spice, Worm Quartet, and Power Salad. And we're about to release our third album very soon, so cirquedusowhat.net. We also grabbed the handle baconnipples.com just because we could. Both go to the same website. Yeah, I mentioned my podcast, Bad Rapport, BADRAPPORT.com. It's long and features me talking and plugging stuff. So if you liked this interview, you'll probably love Bad Rapport.
Especially if you like the last 5 minutes of this interview.
Yes, we do play some comedy songs on there, and, Carrie is there, and we do News of the Stupid and stuff like that. We already mentioned DrDemento.com. Please go check out his show. I do caricature art and freelance cartooning at my art website, artbylukeski.com. And the biggest thing I've been working on, occupying all my spare time at the moment, is preparing for MarsCon, which is in the Twin Cities. It's a weekend-long science fiction convention about general sci-fi, science, art, costuming, all your usual geeky stuff. However, this particular convention is unique because it is the only convention in the country that has a music track dedicated to comedy music like mine and like you find on Dr. Demento and on the Fump. So,
oh, wow, cool.
So the main website for the convention itself is marscon.com, MARSCON.com. But if you were to go to marscondementia.com, dementia is spelled DEMENTIA, marscondementia.com, and all this is linked from my main website. You will find the website for the world's best fandom convention comedy music track. It's the convention itself is happening March 9th through 11th up in the Twin Cities. It's right across from the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport in the Mall of America. We have music guests of honor this year, the Consortium of Genius. They're a mad science rock band, and they're awesome and hilarious. Other performers this year include TV's Kyle, Cirque du So What, Worm Quartet, the Gothsicles, Sea Monkey, Possible Oscar, the Boobles, Dino Mike, Devo Spice, me, Power Salad, and some other people, DJ Particle, others from the Fump Sideshow, just, a lot of great funny music acts. So if you like sci-fi cons, you like funny music, I highly recommend going to MarsCon. You'll have a great time. And one final plug, even if you can't go to MarsCon, we put out a fundraiser every year to help raise money to cover the costs of this track. And the fundraiser is an album full of live concert MP3s from the previous year. So each collection is like, kind of a shortened time capsule of the entire track from the previous year. So the 2012 Dementia Track fundraiser album is in the fundraiser shop at MarsConDementia.com. It is 3 CDs or an MP3 collection. It's 4 hours of music, live comedy music from the convention, and we even have collections from previous years available as well. So you can check that out there. All right, so that is all of the stuff that Luke is plugging now. So thank you so much for letting me run my mouth like a crazed bastard.
Absolutely. I don't know how you have enough time in the day to eat and sleep and do anything but work.
Well, that's what I've been doing continually. Now that it's just over a month away, I'm in the home stretch of trying to make sure I have everything for the track prepared. That me and my friends have the sketch comedy album ready to come out. To make sure me and Carrie's new podcast compilation CD comes out. I had to make a T-shirt. I have to organize the people running the merch table. I gotta write the opening ceremony sketch with my friend Earl. I have so much stuff going on with MarsCon that it's insane. But it's all worth it because it's such a great time, and me and my friends have so much fun there. So.
Yeah, and it's evident by your performances how good of a time you have. Those of you who don't know, who haven't heard Luke before, as he said, he's got a whole lot of albums. And Luke, you're so prolific. I'm sure remembering all your lyrics can't always be easy.
Yeah, it's got certain songs are stuck in there pretty well, but the less I perform them, the more the lyrics get hazy on me. And if people try to call out requests in a crowd, sometimes I'll end up, making a fool of myself because I can't remember the lyrics to my own songs. But
will you still take everything, or will you just be like, no, I can't do that. I haven't done that in a while.
Unfortunately, most of the time my shows are kind of set up that I have to plan in advance what I'm doing because all my music is on the background.
Oh, so you couldn't
CD.
really take requests anyway.
I do have an MP3 player. Basically, as the technology has improved, it's made it possible to take requests, but since normally my shows are pretty carefully timed out, it's kind of hard to. Occasionally I will make a specific, choice to be like, all right, this is going to be an all request show, or, I'm going to work in some time to take requests. Or, if there's time for an encore or something like that, I'll be like, all right, what do you want to hear? And then someone will shout something out, and if I can cue it up quick enough on my MP3 player, I can make it happen. So
yeah, that's cool. Well, there you have it, folks. Comedy music is alive and well. Thanks again, Luke. Everybody go to thefump.com and all of the other places that Luke just told us all to go. Thanks again, Luke. I'd love to have you back sometime down the road.
Sure, yeah, no problem. If you and your friend, we want to have like a Muppet trivia contest or something like that, that would be...
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me on the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
All right.
Bye. And now, a quick message.
The adventure continues. Now with Batman, the serial. And nothing can slow him down. Nothing can stop him from bringing it to you. It's here. A smashing taste. A honey-nut-flavored part of your complete breakfast. Batman cereal.
Now that I'm back, and this is our first show, Tim and I are going to break open a bottle of champagne right now. That's what we're going to do. And you can share vicariously. Here we go. Let's see if we... And now you get to watch Captain Logan open a champagne bottle.
I had to coach him on this earlier.
Yeah,
I did coach him on this.
I've never opened a champagne bottle before.
No, you gotta get the cage off there first.
I know. I'm working on it.
All right. Now pull the cord.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah.
And it's not spilling out either. That's great. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Now, let's get our glasses ready. Tim, may I have your glass?
Absolutely. We've waited half a year for the return of Trump Cap, and
There you
here
are.
he is.
Did you have to say that on the show? Was that necessary? All right.
Hey, it was mentioned in the chat. I had to mention it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching Comic Book Late Night. Cheers. And now it's time for another exciting edition of Obscure Character of the Week. Today's Obscure Character of the Week is brought to you by Gauntlets, because when it comes right down to it, if you're not sure if you can legitimately call yourself a superhero, all you have to do is call your gloves gauntlets. Have you ever heard of Beak? Let's find my Beak picture. Well, Beak was an X-Men character. He's still around, but now he's called Blackwing. He doesn't have his powers anymore, and his real name is Barnell Bohusk. He was created by Grant Morrison and Ethan Van Sciver, and he was a mutant with a humanoid bird form who has talons and can fly, and he has superior agility. He lived at Xavier's school. He was an X-Man, and while he was in the body of Professor X, Cassandra Nova took over his mind for a while and made him beat Beast nearly to death with his prized titanium baseball bat, which he was going to give Beast as for a gift. Naturally, of course, he fell in love with and slept with Angel Salvador and was afraid not only that the X-Men would kick him out, but also of what their babies would look like. They had 6 hatchlings. Yes, they had hatchlings.
Wow.
And they lived in a little house by the mansion. Later, Zorn, who we find out is actually Magneto, convinces him to join his brotherhood, but then he went against him when Magneto started sending humans to crematoriums, and, wouldn't you? He was nearly killed, and later he joined a strike force with Cyclops, but it's a wonder he didn't die there too, considering he attacked Magneto with the same metal baseball bat. It's Magneto.
What?
And a metal baseball bat.
Hang on, was this ferrous metal?
Ferrous metal? I don't know. I don't know, Tim.
Because if it were
ferrous
an
metal.
aluminum bat, that wouldn't work. If it were steel, then it would.
You don't think Magneto can control aluminum?
No, I don't.
Isn't aluminum still a metal, or is it?
But it's not ferrous. See, a ferrous metal is one that can be subject to magnetism.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, so there are different types of metals. See, that's why if you stick a magnet, like a neodymium magnet, up to an aluminum bat, it's not going to stick.
Well, good to know. Thanks for that lesson in metal from the amazing Tim Lyons. And now it's time to...
Magneto can't unwrap I'm sorry.
Wait, what? What is it?
Excelsior Production 7 says Magneto can't unwrap sandwiches. I just think that's brilliant.
Yeah, that actually is pretty funny. All right, now it's time to find out what I've pulled from the ever ominous, gigantic, amazing comic book vault. Today in the Comic Book Vault, we're going to take a look at What If number 24, and that's What If Spider-Man had rescued Gwen Stacy. So this is one of my favorite What Ifs. This is, of course, just what it looks like. It's what if Gwen Stacy actually survived. And one of the things that's really cool about it is that it's actually drawn by the person who drew the original Gwen Stacy issue, which was, of course, Gil Kane, and also Frank Giacola is there too. And anyway, so it opens up with showing us what happened in the regular universe where Spider-Man tries to rescue Gwen. It's basically Spider-Man sitting on the pier and moping about the fact that this happened a while back. I think maybe it's a year later that he's doing this, I forget. And then, of course, the Watcher shows up, and we see the Watcher say, "But what if it didn't happen that way?" And then we go to a universe which where it didn't happen. One of the things I love about What If is that it's not just like the premise is what if it happened, but it's actually like the Marvel Universe keeps spanning out other dimensions based on one different action. And so this is a universe in which Spider-Man really did manage to rescue Gwen Stacy. And I like that they don't cheat with it, because what they do is it's not like she never gets kicked off the bridge. It's that she gets kicked off, but then Spider-Man instead, that split second, instead of shooting his web out and grabbing her feet, which in the original issue is actually what made her snap her neck, so it was actually partially Spider-Man's fault. He grabs her legs, and then with some actual real life physics, her neck snaps, and so and it's a really sad panel too. I don't have it here to show you, but it's a really sad panel because they show this little word balloon right next to her neck that says "snap," and it's just that makes it even sadder. And so anyway, in this he actually gets up underneath her just at the last split second before they hit the water, and he grabs her, and they both survive. And so they're very smart about what they do with this, because it's like, well, if Gwen Stacy survived, the first thing she'd do if she saw that Peter Parker was Spider-Man would be angry with him, because she's been blaming Spider-Man for the death of her father for a long time. So the first thing she does is, oh God, you're Spider-Man? I hate you. And then of course he explains it, and she ends up believing him, and then right there he proposes. And in the issue they get married. And which is kind of fun. Green Goblin ends up sending Peter Parker's alias. He knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and so he sends Peter Parker's alias to J. Jonah Jameson in the mail. And at the end of this, J. Jonah Jameson breaks up the wedding and says, "Oh, Peter Parker, Spider-Man," and it ruins his whole life. So the idea is that if Gwen Stacy had survived, it would have ruined Peter Parker being Spider-Man. Now, one of the things I find really amusing about this is that if you look at the cover, on the cover, it says, "Whatever you do, Spider-Man, don't save her." So apparently, the issue wants you to believe that Gwen Stacy dying is a lot worse than Peter Parker not being Spider-Man and maybe going to jail for his whole life. So the book comes down on, let her die so that you can still be Spider-Man. I don't know. I find that somewhat amusing. But it really is a fun issue. It actually makes sense where things end up going, and it's kind of a fun Twilight Zone ending. Did you know that you can go to the Comic Book Vault right now on wearegeeksnotnerds.com, see what we have for sale on eBay, and you can also go to our P.O. Box, and you can donate things to the Comic Book Vault if you want to see us talk about anything. And that's Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. Well, Tim, this has been a lot of fun.
Yes,
I hope you've had a good time. I hope you folks at home have had a good time. It's now time to find out what the answer was for the Batmobile trivia, and so the Batmobile was indeed from 2011. That is, in fact, not from a comic book. That's actually the Batman Live Batmobile that they're doing. They're doing a British stage show right now for Batman that looks a lot like the Schumacher movies, and that's the Batmobile they're using. That's what that is. And now it's time to find out who first got the trivia question right. Tim, who got the trivia question right first?
Well, Captain Logan, the trivia question was answered correctly first by Comics Kid 2099.
Oh, fair enough. He knows everything. All right, so Comic Kid 2099 got it right first, and of course, the correct answer was indeed White and Nerdy. That's the only Weird Al song, to my knowledge, that mentions the X-Men. And one last final thing before we go, Tim, would you kindly let us know what the poll results were for whether or not people would be picking up the Watchmen prequels?
Well, 3 people said yes, 6 people said no, and 2 people, in a third option that I created for you,
oh great,
said that they would buy the trade, but not pick it up right out of the gate.
Okay, awesome, cool. So that's what you have. Yes, that's what happens. Everybody, thanks so much for watching Comic Book Late Night. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan, and this is Tim Lyons.
Goodbye.
And be sure to support your local comic book store. And remember, when you're filling out your Avengers membership application, be sure to check off which teams you're interested in. Otherwise, they're likely to put you on all of them. I'm Captain Logan, signing off.